Good morning, everyone. Colt Chamberlain, the Air Force guy, here with Everything RVs podcast, bringing you all the information that you need so that you can go out and make memories that will last a lifetime. And I'm excited today to bring you, this gentleman has been in the business for quite some time, and he is a representative with Airstream. I tell you, it's a pleasure to be able to bring him on here and go over with you the changes for 2025. Now, for those of you listening out there on a streaming service or those watching on YouTube, please do like, subscribe, comment, and share the link. I appreciate everybody. And but let's get on. Let's get with the good information. I'm so excited to bring him on here. And here we go. Tim Maxwell from Airstream. So, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Well, currently I'm the regional director of sales for the East Coast. So I handle the sales from Montreal down to Florida. I currently reside in Florida, but I've been with Airstream since 1987. Really, really proud of that fact. Since 1987, I've certainly seen a lot of changes. That's what's currently. And I know we kind of put this off just a little bit. Thank you for your patience. I spent last week in the Keys enjoying my Airstream trailer. I currently have a 27 Tommy Bahama, and I took it to the Keys. And man, what other way to experience Key West than in a Tommy Bahama with a rear hatch? It's the best.
No doubt. So now, where'd you stay in Key West?
At Boyd's Campground. It's right there on Stock Island. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. You talk about Southern hospitality. They do it up right, and they have a great reputation, and I can certainly see why. They really do a great job.
That is a nice campground. We stayed there back in 2020. So yeah, very nice.
It's nice. We stayed right on. Of course, when you have the hatch, you got to stay right on the water. You just
absolutely. That's exactly right. So anyway, the reason why we're doing this, for those of you that have been watching my YouTube channel, I interviewed Tim back a few months ago, and we talked about why Airstream. So for those of you that may have missed it, you might want to go back and just search on my YouTube channel, why Airstream. But we did talk about some of the new upgrades for 2025, but we didn't delve into them individually. And there was a listener, someone watching my channel, that had requested that we do this. So here we are. So why don't we start with what's new? You want to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a great place to start is, Wally 𝐸𝐬. Wally 𝐸𝐬 was our founder, started Airstream back in 1931. And Wally 𝐸𝐬 said, let's not make changes. Let's make only improvements. And, that's our motto. That's what we focus on. And so for 2025, I'm anxious to share the improvements, the enhancements. And we'll start right at it. I'm going to start really with the Bambi, and then go all the way up to the Classic, that home away from home Classic. And so on the Bambi line, we'll just jump right into it. On the Bambi line, we went to stamped ribs and roof bows. So what's that mean? Well, the reality is, prior to 2025 model year, we would stretch the roof bows and we would stretch the ribs. And there was a slight variance in them. If you could look down the side of a trailer, you can see that. And I've always said that the Airstream trailers are like a snowflake. There's no two alike. And that still remains the same today, but we're just trying to dial that in just a little bit. So for 2025, on the Bambi, all the way up to the Classic, and we started this process a few years ago, finally introduced it to the Bambi, but now they're a stamped bow and a stamped rib. And when you stamp something, you get that tight symmetrical tolerance. And it's just tightening up the shell appearance on the outside as well as the inside. And, I mentioned that we started this process a few years ago. It really started with the 2023, started with the Classic, kind of developed that all the way down through. And then this year it's the Bambis and Caravels. In a quick way, as some of your listeners may want to know, well, how do I know if I have a stamped shell? And that's a common question. First off, on the ducted AC. Remember when we introduced the ducted AC back in 2015? Well, I always called it a little transition, a little bump. You would look at that front end shell, So the front end shell and the rear end shell would go up. And then you'd have just a little transition for that ducted AC. So there's like a little bump on the roof. So when we introduced this stamped roof bow, it actually went to one piece. It actually eliminated two seams in the roof, which is always popular. It tightens them up, eliminates the seam. So very, very nice. But you won't have that little bump on the roof. But more importantly, you'll have a different air conditioner. So if you look up on top of the trailer, and you either have a Coleman or a GE, you got the new style. Shell. So that's a quick way to do it. So with that, now when we do increase it, that overall height increases. So the height of the Bambi used to be 9'3". Now it's 9'5". So just a little bit of an increase. And then just remember, I know we're talking about the Bambi, but when we did it to the wide bodies, when we did it to the the classics on down, that raised that to about 9'7", 9'8", somewhere right around in there. So they also increased. But I have to tell you, as I look at these trailers, it does tighten up the inside. Because remember, the panels come off a CNC router, so the tolerances on the inside tighten up, as well as the tolerance on the outside tightens up. So that's the exciting thing on the Bambi. And then, of course, when we did this, I mentioned the air conditioners. The air conditioners went from a Dometic. Now they're going to be a GE. So on the Bambi, we used to have a heat strip. Now it's a heat pump. So all of our products now have a heat pump.
Certainly. What else anything else changed on the Bambi itself?
Yeah, just a few. On the 16, there's a couple more changes. On the 16, we used to have the water tank under that roadside dinette seat. So we relocated that fresh water tank, 23 gallons on that 16 Bambi, to underneath the floor. And then that opened up that cavity in that dinette area for the converter and for the electronics, which was underneath the bed. So now you have more storage underneath the bed. The fresh water tank's under the floor, kind of has that lower center of gravity. So it's a win-win. And then the 19 Bambi retired. So currently we have the 16 for 2025 model year. We have the 16, which is a wet bath. And then you have the 20, which has that nice U-shaped galley, the dinette on the roadside, the bed across the front. And then that moves up to the 22. The 22, of course, has that nice, what I call it, the master bathroom in the back, the bedroom in the front. That unit flows extremely, extremely well. U-shaped dinette on the patio side. But the 19's been retired.
Okay.
So that's what's kind of exciting on the Bambi line. Moving up to the Caravelle. Again, it's a single axle, so it's got that same new shell design. So Bambi, Caravelle, new shell. So everything across the board has the stamped shell for 2025 model year. And then going back, the inverter. The inverter is on the Caravelle all the way up to the Classic. Now the sizes of the inverter changes a little bit. The Tradewinds has a 3,000 watt inverter. Everything else is a 2,000 watt inverter. But for 2025, we put when the customer hits the battery disconnect switch, that automatically shuts the inverter off. Prior to that, that wasn't the case. The inverter could stay on. So for 2025, when the customer hits the battery disconnect switch, it automatically shuts down the converter. It's just a convenience factor for the customer. We made that change. We retired the 19, and then on the 16 relocated that freshwater tank that was in the dinette that we talked about on the Bambi. We did that for the 16 Caravelle as well. So
now you mentioned something, and I want to make sure that people understand. So if you turn the battery disconnect on, your inverter turns on?
No, it only turns off.
Well, when you turn it on and off, the inverter comes on.
Paul, when you turn it off, it automatically turns off. Turn it on, you still have to go to the switch to turn it on. But
okay, so that's perfect. Okay, I just want to clarify that. Make sure that people didn't.
It's pretty important.
So
I get it.
Yeah, that is an important thing to know.
Yeah, so that's the changes on the Bambi and the Caravelle, and then the Flying Cloud. Just not a lot of changes. We're making enhancements, and so we got that dialed in fairly well. We added the inverter shutdown feature with the battery disconnect that we talked about on the Caravelle. And then the bath door handle on the 23, we changed that to a flush mount, that sliding flush mount. It used to be where you had the normal handle that you would pull down. Well, that just got a little tight in there. A lot of people grabbed them on either their shirt or their belt loop. It's the right height for me because I always grabbed my that handle to my belt loop. So anyway, for 2025 model year, went to a sliding handle. Works a lot better, and that's we've used that in the past, so we transferred that over. And then on the international, moving from the Flying Cloud to the that was it, just a bathroom door handle and then the inverter shutdown on the Flying Cloud. Again, that's a fairly dialed in product. International, we start our designer series. So the change on the international, in addition to the inverter shutdown feature and the sliding bathroom handle that we talked about on the 23 Flying Cloud, we also added the power stabilizers. Now, the designer series, when I say designer series, the designer series really starts in that international. And a designer series, that international has that coastal flair. And that's why it's seashell and aqua. Those are the colors and Wally Bynum always had a thirst for that coastal flair. So the international starts our designer series. We always had power stabilizers on the Globetrotter, which is also in the designer series. We just thought it made sense to bring down the power stabilizers. So now the international is going to have power stabilizers, power awning. We always had the power awning, but it just tells a nice story, and they both have power. So that's the changes on the international. Then we roll into the trade wind. Trade wind has done very, very well for us. If you remember, not too long ago, we introduced a 25 trade wind. The colors are terracotta and fieldstone, kind of a mild and wild. So trade wind's done exceptionally well. So for 2025, I'm proud to say that we introduced a 23 trade wind. And the 23 trade wind coming right out of the gate is available in a queen or a twin. Now, in that 23 platform, Paul, the twin flows extremely well. Your eyes always go to that front window. That window just kind of opens that floor plan up a little bit, and you have separate seating. You got more storage. It just flows really, really nice in this 23 twin. And it's, since we introduced it at the new model show out in Vegas to our dealer partners, it has done extremely well. The 23, it's just like its big brother. Its big brother's got 600 watts of solar, 810 amp hour lithium batteries. 23 is going to come in at 500 watts of solar, but it still has that same battery bank, 810 lithium amps of lithium batteries underneath it. So it does extremely, extremely well. We're really excited, and like I say, it's off to the races on it. And the trade wind does well. We had it out at the Hershey show not too long ago. Done very well out there. But the trade wind is one of those products that if you want to go off grid camping for an extended period of time, it has the capacity to do that. And if you're not going to, let's say if you want to go to just a campground, a nice campground, you can still utilize it that way. You got two avenues to use this trade wind, which is nice. And it's kind of hard to take a unit that doesn't have that big battery pack, that high solar, and try and go off grid with it. You certainly can, but you're not going to get the use that you're going to get out of the trade wind. And, Harvest Host, talk a lot about Harvest Host, the trade wind. A lot of our customers are really, really enjoying the trade wind at the Harvest Host locations. So it's nice, but really excited about the trade wind. It's doing exceptionally well. Going from the trade wind then right to the Globetrotter. Again, on the Globetrotter, we're going to talk about this inverter feature where it's got the shutdown on it. And then the Globetrotter, now we have a recirculating tankless on-demand water heater that we're putting in. It's the same one that we're using on the REI and the trade wind. We're just going to bring it down to the Globetrotter. And
so, what brand is that? Water heater?
It's a Girard, I believe.
Okay.
I believe I'd probably want to check on that, but I believe it's a Girard. And then the classic, starting with that flagship, our home away from home. The classic is the most luxurious. So we've been looking at an anti-sway um, um, feature for quite a long time. Been playing with it. So for 2025, the classic, the 30 and the 33, only two floor plans, will have an anti-sway mitigation built into it. And it's designed by Bosch. Bosch Dexter, it's Dexter axles. Dexter is part of this as well. And Bosch was the first ones to put it in the RV or in the auto industry years ago. Anti-lock, anti-sway. So anyway, we're introducing that on the 30 and the 33. There's an app that you can go down. You download the Dexter app. You can actually see what is going on. But how it works, if you're going above 40 mile an hour and you're starting to get into a sway, it will automatically start applying braking to get you back in line. And it happens in a millisecond. We're in Jackson Airstream factories in Jackson Center, Ohio. We're blessed to have an airport in New Knoxville, which is about 20 minutes from the plant. Took it out there and done some testing on it. And I have to tell you, really impressive how it brings it right back in. And, sometimes they ask, well, what happens if there's a fault? Your brake controller is still going to work. It's just going to work just as normal. Do I still need a weight distribution anti-sway system? Absolutely. Always going to recommend that because that's the safety link. It's just another feature on it. But I have to tell you, in my my interactions with it, it's extremely impressive. And you can never have too much on the safety side of it things. So really excited about that. That's going to be on both classics, the 30 and the 33. We have a new multiplex system. Now the switches are going to remain the same look, generalized look, but it's a new multiplex system. That comes with a new app. It's going to be a My Airstream app that the customer will have to download and get set up. But the consumer facing is so much easier. And as I again mentioned the Hershey show, I was able to play with a little bit out the Hershey show and did extremely well. And it's a lot easier to go through the navigation part of it. Just the consumer satisfaction is going to be a little bit enhanced over the 2024. Now the Pottery Barn is still going to remain the same. Now remember, I don't want to switch back and forth, but the Pottery Barn is going to retire here in 2026 model year. So didn't want to redesign that system, so we're still going to have two systems. So anyway, new multiplex system with a new app, My Airstream app. Now we did take the router out of it. So for 2025, the customer kind of selects his own router. And I personally, I don't want to endorse one product over the other, but in my Airstream, I use Starlink.
No doubt.
Really like Starlink. It's amazing just how, that's one of the first things I do when I go to set up. I get the Starlink out, and by golly, by the time I got everything down, everything ready to go, get ready for that nice beverage, the Starlink's already connected, so it makes it nice. So yeah, we're gonna let the customer decide what he wants. Now, perfect. One of the questions is, hey, do I need the Starlink or do I need the internet to be able to use the smart feature? No, we have a built-in router for the smart feature that the customer doesn't need. So it'll work either remotely or locally without that internet base. So we have that. And then the 33 probably made the most change out of any. And I'm really excited about it. So, coming into COVID, going out of COVID, a lot of customers were working from home. It was work from anywhere, right? And we're kind of stepping back a little bit from that. And, in that 33, we had the desk, and then we had that projection screen TV, and try to make it multifunctional, right? So for 2025, we've taken the desk and we moved it up and provided more storage. So now you have a storage cabinet that's equally as tall as the galley. It comes right over. Now remember, Paul, the wheel well's underneath there. Airstream has wheel wells, so we have to play with the wheel well. But that wheel well is underneath that cabinet. But man, the drawers, the spacing, the storage in there is tremendous. we replaced the projection screen TV with a televator. So now that television raises out of that top, and it's a 43-inch smart TV in it. And then we increased the sound system. We increased the sound system in it as well. So that really opened that up. I know sometimes if you would sit underneath sit on the lounge, and you'd hear the projection screen TV, or you'd hear the projector a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It just cleaned that up. It looks extremely, extremely nice. So yeah, that's kind of the changes.
Now you forgot one camper though. What about the base?
The base camp. Yep, we didn't have really any changes on the base camp. Yeah, we tweaked that shower area just a little bit, but no major change on the base camp.
No improvements. I thought you said.
Yeah, improvements. There you go. That's what Wally said. Do not make any changes. Let's make only improvements, and that's what we focused on. The base camp, the REI. I mentioned the Pottery Barn is going to retire in 2026 model year. So is the REI. So, we can say it here, Paul. Last call for REI on the 16 and 20 base camp, and last call for the 28 Pottery Barn.
Okay.
And when we do these collaborations, we've done many of them. I just mentioned the Tommy Bahama. That happens to be one of my favorite collaborations that we did. We all have favorites, right? The collaborations are really only designed for a 3 to 4 year period. That's it. And it's just because it kind of becomes that collectors. And I know if you look at some of these, like the Eddie Bauer and the Victorinox and the Pendleton Woolen Mills, and there's just a lot of excitement around these special editions. So last call.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of that, I saw a land yacht being towed across me when I was at a gas station the other day, and I'm thinking, boy, and it looked pretty damn good. When's the last time you built the land yacht?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. So there's a land yacht travel trailer, a land yacht fifth wheel, and then a land yacht motorhome. So I'm expecting you're talking about the Square Stream.
No, it was just a regular travel trailer. Land yacht.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. You see what you get to work.
It looked pretty. I'll tell you, you couldn't tell that it was years and years old, but very good shape.
Beauty. That's a great point. You look at Airstream, and you see the trailer come down the road. It's an Airstream. But some of them, and if you take care of them, they just last generations, and they still have that iconic look, and they look amazing. You don't know if it's a new one or a used one. I know I was taking my Airstream down to the Keys. Like I mentioned, I stopped at a fuel station, and somebody approached me saying, "Hey, did you just get your trailer?" And I says, "No, it's 2018. It's good. It looks brand new, right?"
Right.
So it's just amazing. It's just a timeless piece.
No doubt. Piece. Well, I know it's taken us a little while to get together. Glad.
Thanks for your patience.
Get together, but we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to give us this information. And speaking of Starlink, for those of you that may want to consider getting that, because I just got that last week, I'll have a link down below if you want to go ahead and try that out, and you will get. They have a special offer. So I'll have that link down below as well. So, but thanks again, Tim.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
And
I appreciate the time.
No doubt. I appreciate everybody listening, liking, subscribing to the channel here, as well as sharing this out. So until next week, same time, same bat channel. Take care.